Evening all and welcome to Game Day 7 of the Bundesliga review show. I am Gav Mack. I'm joined with Devo from Football Dugout. It's a team thing, team effort. I'll tell you what, with that team effort, why don't we change the logo in the top corner? How would that be? Here we go. There we go. Everyone's in there now. And then we've got Flozif down there as well. Indeed. How is everybody?
Good. You
there? We there?
What can I say? Yeah, I can't complain.
I'm a little sad, but I'll come to this later.
Indeed.
But you don't have to worry about
any more
me.
sleep, Devo? Babies in there?
You know what? Last night was the first night in a long time. She actually was pretty good. We had a decent sleep last night, but it also coincides with me. I actually finally got a PlayStation 4, so I used the time when I should have been sleeping playing Pro Evolution and God of War like an idiot. So I'm actually quite tired.
Happens, doesn't it? We can't do anything about it. Kids will be kids. But yes, welcome everybody to the Bundesliga Game Day 7. You can follow us on all social media. Gav Mack is available on Two Up Top. Devo is available on the Football Dugout, and we're all beering.
Yeah.
We've all got a German beer of some variety. There are other German beers available, just so we don't get in trouble.
Mine is West Indies. It's not German.
What beers are you drinking, Flo?
I'm drinking it. What? Augustina.
Augustina.
You know Augustina from Munich?
No.
Oh, this is although it's from Munich, or maybe because it's from Munich, it's one of the best beers in Germany. I can only recommend. And you get in the brewery in Munich. Munich is very high priced. In the brewery, you get a pint for €3. So you need to go there. I can only recommend that one.
Can't moan at that.
It'd be nice to go anywhere at the moment.
Yeah,
I will be getting involved in
that. We can only.
Definitely get involved.
My little ones, that's me. If anyone can hear baby crying, that's it. Every time I go live on the stream, she kicks off.
Yeah, because she's a daddy's girl, just like mine. Let's talk about some football, boys. We've saw a lot of goals this week in the Bundesliga, and it's lovely. And I think we should kick it off in the city, the capital city of Berlin. So, Union Berlin 5, Arminia Bielefeld 0. Bielefeld now lost 4 games. They lost their last 4 games. I had this as a close affair. I'm sure we all had this as a pretty close one, didn't we?
It'd be quite tight. Yeah. I'm very surprised by this result, to be honest. Not just the result, but also the performance, because Union Berlin played some very good football. It was like watching, it's like Union Munich or something. They tore Arminia apart. They tore them apart, and they fully deserved to score 5 goals. I think they've got Max Kruse there who's just pulling strings. He's such an intelligent player, and he just got them purring at the moment. And to score 5 goals without reply, that's a massive victory for Union. They're looking really good at the moment. Really good.
Do you believe they can
what did you think?
Sorry. Yeah, I think they're on a very good way. So it's well deserved that they're on, I don't know, place 7th or 5th or something like 5th, 6th, something like that. And
they're 5th.
Max Kruse is definitely making a difference at the moment. He's making all his teammates looking better, like the same way he did it in Bremen 2 years ago. I have to admit, I didn't expect it that way, but yeah, I like to see it that at least one club from Berlin plays quite nice football. Do you guys believe they can stay in this position in the table?
No,
don't be silly. Don't be silly. They're not going to be hanging around up here. Not for too long.
They'd be happy if they finish around 11th or 12th. Honestly, if you'd asked them before the season started, would you be happy with a 12th place finish? They would bite your hand off. So, I think when you're picking up points in your club the size of Union Berlin, you're picking up points at this point. It's kind of like a deposit towards the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? So you're just putting down these points now so that you're in a good shape by the end, and then you could just kind of get yourself over the line.
It's like being a pacemaker in the marathon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Try and get as many points early doors before you end up fluffing your lines. But Endo scored the opening goal. He's on loan from Yokohama Marinos, which I think is random that you get someone on loan from the Eastern Shores like that. It's his first Bundesliga goal. He got injured in the end, which is unfortunate. But Max Kruse pulled all the strings. Two assists and a goal. The assist for Becker. Just
Brilliant
cutting through the eye of a needle. Now, if that was Kevin De Bruyne who did that, we wouldn't hear the end of it. That's how good of a ball that was. The vision was just incredible. And Kruse also scored 16 penalties on the road.
Yep.
Yeah, which is the goal I loved was from Andrik, the second goal. Because he had the ball from the own half, crossed it over half the pitch, made a fantastic run in the box, and a great shot at the goal. So this was one of my favorite goals this weekend.
That might be the longest distance a 1-2 has ever travelled. Because he popped the ball out to Kruse, about 60 yards to Kruse, made the run, got a return ball and popped it top corner. It's a really good goal, yeah. But the defending all over Germany this weekend was terrible. It's like everyone forgot to defend in game week 7. It was horrible across the board.
I think the attacking was fantastic. That's what it is.
The referees gave a lot of penalties. I believe it was the second most in Bundesliga history.
Yeah, but most of them were penalties. I don't think they got many right. Yeah.
But that's like typical.
There's a couple contentious ones that we'll talk about.
Everyone's discussing now whether there's something to change about the rules, because there were so many penalties on a match day, and all of a sudden the whole new discussion starts. It's typical of Germany.
I think the only thing that needs to change is the handball rule, but I think that's across the board. I think they're looking into that, aren't they? Because I think it's ridiculous. You'll have your hand. You're not moving your arm towards the ball or anything. Not much you can do. Sometimes the players are actually literally kicking the ball at someone's arm from about a yard away. You can't move your arm. Tactical. That's not handball. But what can you do?
Staying in the capital, let's talk about Hertha. Because Augsburg put in a defensive display that Hertha would be normally looking at all season. It was poor. It was poor stuff. Hertha Berlin 3-0 winners away to Augsburg. I think Augsburg, they're hitting a bit of a rough patch at the moment. I don't know how long they're going to be down there in it. The goals came from Cunha from the spot, Luka Bacchio just after half time, and finally Christoph Piatek scores in the Bundesliga this season. He went first. I'll come to you first. I went to Devo first last night. So let's go to Flo. What did you how did you see this game?
Unexpected, because Augsburg is known for a good defense, and it's very difficult to win in Augsburg. And Hertha hadn't what you would call a run, rather a negative run. Wouldn't have expected them to win, and they're so unpredictable at the moment. They have good games and bad games, changing all the time. Don't know if I would be a betting person. I would advise everyone not to bet on Hertha Berlin at the moment.
Well, it's their first win of the season since the opening day of the season, isn't it? Devo, did you? Because I looked at this as defensively, I know what to expect from Hertha Berlin. They're normally at 6s and 7s, but they were actually quite astute at the back. And Augsburg, as I alluded to when I was introducing the game, looked very much like Hertha's back line. So what's going on with Augsburg at the moment?
It's just one of those things where you get into a bit of a rotten spell and certain things don't go your way, like the offside decision. He was offside. It was close. There was a disallowed goal for Andre Hahn. If he keeps, holds his run, because there's so much space for him to move into, he didn't really need to make the run that early. If he holds his run, I believe that was a 0-0. They go 1-0 up, and then the whole game could change. You know what I mean? So little things like that change your destiny over 90 minutes, I suppose. But they're going to have to work on that defense. You cannot defend like they did and expect to pick up points, whether home or away. Hertha, on the other hand, they desperately needed someone to come up and defend like that against them, because they desperately needed the 3 points and they needed to get confidence boost. And this is precisely what that will do.
I just want to go back to what you said there about the Hahn goal, which was chalked off for offside. Do you not think that was a bit of a harsh decision? You know, where because I felt that they were trying to draw it off on the arm,
Mm.
and
Well,
I thought that was
it's
very very much like Bamford's goal at the weekend.
Yeah, the thing is with the offside rule is that you're either offside or you're not. No matter how tight or how close it is, if they can prove using those dodgy red lines that you're slightly ahead of someone, then you're offside. It's not as subjective as like a foul, because then you could like, did they get contact? Was it enough for them to go down? That's up to your opinion, but offside is offside. So
the question is if he would have an advantage if he's only, I don't know, if his left toe is a centimeter in the offside area. You know what I mean? We will talk about Bayern Munich against Borussia Dortmund later. There will definitely be a goal that needs to be, or not a goal that needs to be discussed. And that's exactly the problem. You know, when there wasn't a VAR, those goals happened or didn't happen, but you couldn't blame anyone because it was too close. And now you have this small line. You say, okay, not an advantage for the player.
Yeah, I think what it is
kept it running, but where do you cross the line? If there's a line, the line needs to be crossed.
Yeah,
so that's very difficult discussion.
I think what it is before the offside rules kind of gave advantage to the attackers. Now the advantage is firmly with the defense, so it's completely flipped on its head, and it takes a little while to get used to that. You know what I mean? But I doubt it will ever go back to giving advantage to the attackers.
What do you prefer, attackers or defenders?
I prefer the old rule.
We want goals, boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just that, but for me, football is a game. It's a human game. Humans make errors. At first, when they come up with the whole VAR thing, I was like, you know what, it's right, because football's there's so many tangibles and so many decisions that could be massive. You know, say you're in a relegation battle, and I'll give you an example in the Premier League, the Aston Villa and Sheffield United.
I was about to say.
If that goal goes in, Villa aren't in the Premier League anymore, and we don't lose 3-0 at home, and we don't get embarrassed. But that's neither here nor there. But Villa are no longer in the Premier League. That's a massive decision. So when it came in, I was like, these things have to be correct. But then when they take it so far, and you're seeing the handball rules change and the offsides and so like particular and stuff like that, there still needs to be an element of humanity to it. There still has to. The only problem is that, especially in England, I don't know what it's like in Germany. Maybe Flo, you could help out. But in England, the officials are so poor, so poor that you can't trust them to make decisions. And even with the technology that's available, they're still making incorrect decisions. Is that the same kind of attitude in Germany? You
mean the VAR officials or the officials on the pitch?
In general, match officials as a whole, I think, yeah.
Is it the same in Germany that the VAR officials are match day officials, just not, or they have specific?
The VAR officials are also could be match day officials.
Okay.
So they could be standing on the pitch, except one woman who fell through the sports test and is now only sitting in the VAR chamber in Cologne.
Okay.
But basically, we're quite satisfied with our referees if they're on the pitch, but the fans don't get the whole VAR action around it, because regarding VAR, we are so slow. I believe we introduced it as one of the first leagues in Europe in the 2017-2018 season. And it was like, I don't know, it was rubbish, because you were always waiting a long time. You didn't know why you were waiting. It wasn't indicated in somehow or some way. And then there was the World Cup, and it was a great solution. And we still couldn't manage 2 years afterwards to have this the solution in our stadium. So we've still the same problems with VAR like in the first season. That's quite annoying. So the problem for us lays rather with VAR than with the match officials on the pitch.
I would say that Bundesliga is probably one of the only leagues where I don't actually hear many people talking about the state of refereeing. You know, in fact, I don't really hear it around Europe as a whole.
Yeah,
it is only the Premier League where I hear it. And I don't know, I alluded to a little bit like this in a conversation with the other two top boys, that the Premier League always try and do something different rather than sort of find a uniform as the rest of Europe do. And I feel that Germany are one of the flagship countries, not just in general, because I think it's the best country in the world, but in terms of like match officials as well. I just think that they all know what the crack is. They all listen to each other. They have their own personality on the pitch, of course, but they all understand the laws of the game and apply them in the right way. I just find that Germany always seems to do it right.
Referee is kind of a typical German, you know, like all the stereotypes. We are disciplined. We are like we stick to rules. We stick to orders. So all the best, well, kind of bad, boring stereotypes you have about Germany, they are like the characteristics of a good referee.
Yeah.
So we are not emotional, something like that. But at least in England, you have Mike Dean.
Don't talk to me about Mike Dean.
one of the funniest referees ever.
To be honest, I love his personality. But let's talk about the bottom of the league. Mainz 2, Schalke 2. Now, neither team wanted this. It's a massive 6-pointer so early on in the season, but it's. We talk about referees and match officials and decisions and stuff. It took a while for them to come to this decision with the opening goal, which was a penalty. Excuse me, Nastasic on Burkhardt. Why do you feel like it took so long, Devo? Because for me, I looked at that straight away. I was like, yeah, that's a pen.
For me, it was 2 penalties. You know, for me, it was so clear he could have given the penalty twice. I think. To be fair, in game day speed and actual real life, the coming together was quite quick. And Nastasic did get to the ball. He did. But he ran through Burkhardt to get there. So on the first replay, I would have thought you'd have seen the first replay being like, oh yeah, okay, that's a penalty. I have no idea why it took so long. It shouldn't have taken that long.
It took so long because the VAR is rubbish. The technique is rubbish in Germany. They're like,
like sometimes when you're watching something and you're talking at the same time, you don't necessarily concentrate what's on the screen. So you're like, sorry, I'm gonna have to watch that again. Maybe that's what happened. They're just talking in the booth. It's like, I missed it again. Rewind that, please.
The kebab turned up. That's what it is. It's all the kebabs.
Because he ran through. He got with the arm.
Better than us.
He got with the arm and he trod on his Achilles. So it's like 2 fouls in one. So I don't understand why it took so long.
Mad. Marku scored a beautiful free kick. That's Schalke's first away goal. They scored 2 of them obviously in this game, but that's their first away goal. Do you think that Schalke need to work on they need to work on everything, but do you think that they should be working on how they act away from home first, Flo?
Well, they should need to work in general on how to score goals. If Mark Uth, he scored his 2nd goal this season, and he is the top goal scorer for the club. He has like half of the goals, or 2 or 5. So it doesn't matter if they're at home or away; they just should start scoring more goals. And now, if you're looking at the goals from this match, we had 2 penalties, a free kick, and an own goal. So this doesn't really speak for the quality of both clubs or both offenses. Mainz has proven it before, kind of against Leverkusen or against Gladbach, especially, that they have some quite good players. But Schalke, I don't know. I don't know where the goals should come from.
I think Mark Uth is the only. Uth and Harit are basically the only 2 who they can really count on, but they can't do it on their own. You know, this game was just a comedy of errors, really, wasn't it? It was just like who could be worse than the other, and in the end, it was just as bad as each other. So. The point is is deservedly shared, but it doesn't help either team. Does not help either team.
One player I do quite like, but I think he just needs to get a bit of service. Pacienza. He's got a nice touch. I just feel like I don't know whether it's just a case of lacking a bit of confidence, maybe, but I think he's better than Schalke. He's just not getting the ball to him.
I don't think he's that good. I don't rate him. I think he's probably at his level. I don't think he's going to get you even 10, 15 goals. No way he's getting 15 goals. But I doubt he'd get 10, even in a good side. I don't.
You would say he's a stepping stone for Schalke. Is he a stepping stone for Schalke? I listen.
Your words of wisdom are going on later, Monfrere. You wait your turn. But yeah, two penalties, a free kick, and an own goal. But to be fair, I felt that the game was quite an excitable game to watch. I think it's just because they're both so tosh. It just made it a little bit easier on the eye to be like, oh, okay, what are they up to? Oh, bless them. You know, I did feel for him. The big game of the weekend, let's be honest, was Die Klassiker. And that was Dortmund versus Bayern. If you don't know, and if you don't know, why don't you know this already? It's the 103rd meeting between the two sides. Dortmund 2, Bayern Munich 3. Bayern Munich really starting to put their foot on the Bundesliga and prove once again who they are. It's also their 100. They scored the 102nd goal of the season. So with the 100th, the 101st, 102nd goal under Hansi Flick in 31 games, not for the season. Can you imagine that? 7 games in. But yeah, Dortmund, very wasteful at times.
Very wasteful, yeah. Haaland will be having nightmares. He missed several chances. And in games like this, you cannot miss. You cannot miss because Lewandowski doesn't. I think Lewandowski had, one real chance, and the goal that he scored with his head was not a chance. He made that. No, I doubt many other players in the world, maybe Cristiano Ronaldo, possibly Harry Kane, would have scored that. Maybe even Haaland, but not many players scored that goal. That was an immense goal, and I think Dortmund will kick themselves because the game was there. They had a good opportunity to win this game. They just didn't take the chances when they came their way, and I think Bayern were ruthless in front of goal as they usually are. That's the difference.
Flo, does that prove the gulf between the two sides?
Yeah, I just think they have a killer instinct. Dortmund don't have that killer instinct yet. Bayern are ruthless. When they get you, when they have a chance to kill you off, they take it. They might give you chances up the other end, but if you don't take them, they will punish you, and that's exactly what they did.
Flo, do you think that's Tuchel's fault?
Whose fault?
Tuchel. Not Tuchel. Favre, sorry.
Okay. I don't know. I wouldn't blame it on Favre in this game because it was quite an intense game. They had their chances, so I don't know what. There's not a lot you can be mad about as a Dortmund fan. Maybe that they were not clever enough to take their chances. But as Devo said, Lewandowski is 10 years older or 10 or 12 years older than Haaland. And this is the extra piece of masterclass he has and what Haaland is trying to achieve. Maybe in a couple of years, the scene will look different if Haaland is not playing for Bayern that time. But
they're waiting for his contract to run down first, so they get him on a free. That's what they're trying to do.
Well, he has a clause, I believe, in his contract for like 70 million or 80 million or what, Haaland in a year or two. So that's no money for him.
True, but Bayern just don't spend any money. They just wait, don't they? They're very patient. Yep. Oh, do you want to come join us in 3 years' time? Yeah, right. That's what they do. They're so naughty. Yes, they did. Yeah.
Look what they did with Sané.
Yeah.
And that goal was my absolutely favorite goal of the weekend. Second favorite. We need to talk about the Gladbach goal. Yeah, for sure. But this was just pure class. He got the ball, made the step to inside, and while making the step, he shot the ball with intention through the legs from Meunier, or who was it?
I think it's a Kanji.
Kanji, yeah. It was just a masterpiece on such a tiny space and such a fast speed. Wow.
I don't know how he scored that. I had to watch it a few times to see how he managed to get that shot off so quick.
Yeah.
What are we saying about the Alaba free kick?
For me, you know what? For me, I think I'm not a fan of Meunier. I'm not a fan of his. I think they've lost a massive. I think a big part of their team is missing with Hakimi not being there. Meunier is not a good replacement, and for me, that goal doesn't happen if Meunier is a bit braver, because he's turned his back to the free kick. He's hit his back and taken the deflection to go in. From a young age, they teach you when you play football that don't turn your back. If the ball's going to hit you, it should hit you in the chest. I know your natural instinct as a human is, this ball's coming towards me, let me move. But as a defender, I'd want my defender to take that ball to the chest. It falls down, we clear the ball. You turn your back, you don't know what's going to happen. So for me, and especially since it wasn't too long after they had scored themselves to then allow, just before half time, to allow Bayern to get a goal back before half time is quite massive. So yeah, I think it was a good free kick the way that they worked the space, but I would want my defender to take that ball in the face or take that in the chest, and we defend.
Just on the stroke of half time as well, because Royce had already opened the scoring on 45 minutes, and there's still a couple of minutes of injury time to play. So once you score that late into the half, you really should be going in at 1-0. So that could have had a negative effect on the side. But the team that has jumped into second place ahead of Dortmund is RB Leipzig, and they won 3-0 at the best party city in the history or in the whole of Germany, Freiburg. Flozif, let's come to you, because I know you love Freiburg as a city, not necessarily as a club. But Leipzig, have they got the minerals? We say it every week, but have they got the minerals to keep up with Bayern?
Nah. I repeat it every week.
Devo?
No. I'm.
Now go on, Flo.
Yeah, you go on. Okay, I will always stick to my opinion that they're capable of playing alongside Bayern for a couple of games, or being close or in a near touch to Bayern for a couple of games, maybe till Christmas, maybe till spring. But at some point, the best ones separate from the very good ones, or from the good ones, and this will happen sooner or later. So maybe Leipzig won't be behind with 20 or 15 points like last year, but I'm pretty sure that they're not capable to stay close to Munich all the season until last match day and keep it open, the race for championship, until the last match day.
Yeah,
what you reckon?
The problem is that, and it frustrates me, because that's what people always use that's the stick that people use to beat the Bundesliga. Is like, Bayern win it every year, and it's not that the other teams aren't good. It's just that Bayern are that good. So I think once you allow Bayern to get into the position where they are now, where they're on top, it's very hard to chase them down. I think the key to winning this league is to keep them at a distance for as long as possible.
Yeah, but that happened this time last year, if you think about it. They were in 7th place when Hansi Flick took over.
Yeah, and Dortmund should have won that league. Dortmund should have won the league last season.
Well, I would say Leipzig probably should have, because it was their home form that let them down, wasn't it? They just kept on drawing and losing at home, but away from home, they were sublime.
And this is what I mean. You cannot. If you have a lead over Bayern, you must win every game. If Bayern draw a game, you must get 3 points, and that's the way it is. It's not easy to do, but that's what you have to do if you want to seriously be contenders. I think Leipzig don't have that. I think they're a bit too inconsistent. They are a very good side on their day, as you saw, not just in this game, but also in the Champions League as well, against PSG. But then you go back a week before that, and they got tanked 5-0 by Man United. There's too much inconsistencies. They don't have that consistent level where they just, they could blow any team away in the Bundesliga, bar Bayern Munich and possibly even Dortmund, but they don't do it enough. So this game could have been 5 or 6, a 3-0 comfortable win. This is what you would want to see from Leipzig every week if they're going to be serious challengers.
And that's the difference to Bayern Munich, because Bayern Munich, they always have the pressure to win that games, but they're used to that pressure, so they win most of the games. Even if they're 1-0 behind 10 minutes before the end, they still believe in their strength and win that game. Because the other teams are not used to that pressure. If they have it won, they start struggling. If Dortmund or Leipzig is in the lead, and they know we have to win every game to maintain our position, at some point, if they're maybe behind, they get nervous, they make mistakes, and if Bayern passes you, the race is over. Because Bayern know we have to win all the games, and they do.
That's actually so true when you say that, particularly about Bayern, and proof in the pudding was only last week in the Champions League when Salzburg, it was 2 apiece, 10 minutes to go. Next thing you know, it's 6-2 to Bayern. They don't have any fear. They play until the last kick of the game. Like even this game here, the Classica, they carried on going. I don't really see many teams doing that. Yes, Leipzig scored 2 late goals in this game against Freiburg. The free kick, by the way, Angelino, he's loving life this season.
Yeah,
absolutely loving life this season. And Sabitzer, Sabitser's never missed a penalty in professional football. Did you know that?
No. How many has he taken now? Has he taken that many? Because Forsberg was a penny taker, Werner was a penny taker as well. So.
I did have the number. Of how many he took, and I need to fish it back out. I think it's about 14 or 15, but I'm not sure. I need to double check throughout his career. But 100% record, can't moan at that. So get him in front of him.
I think he's a great player. I like him.
Love Sabitzer. I first heard about Sabitzer when I moved to Berlin 4 years ago. And my old housemate, he was like, "Oh yeah," because he's a Frankfurt fan, and he was like, "Oh, Sabitzer, like let's talk about Sabitzer. There's a lot of chat, this, that, and the other." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I don't really know much about him, so let me do a bit of research on him." And as soon as I started watching him, I was just thinking, "Oi, this guy." He is a real deal, and he got linked with because I don't really know, like, even though I've been watching Bundesliga football for a while, I don't really. He looked okay at Leipzig, but then he just sort of kicked on, and then over the last couple of seasons, been linked with Spurs. It just made me feel a little bit. Made me want to throw up in my mouth a little bit.
But to be honest, Arsenal wouldn't be an improvement for him. Spurs wouldn't either, but
no, it wouldn't. To be honest, Dan, who does a lot of the background work for Two Up Top. To be fair, I've never missed a pro pen either. Fair play, lad. Fair play, lad.
If you don't take a pro pen, you don't miss one. Clever guy.
Right, he's here all week, man. He's here all week. Right, Flozif, let's talk about your boys. Leverkusen. By Leverkusen 4, Mönchengladbach 3. Fixtures wise, we probably said this was the second best game of the week behind Die Klassiker, no offense. But in terms of the actual game itself, this is hands down the best game of the week. Am I wrong?
I would maybe equal them on the level, but both games were just a huge advertisement or huge promotion for the Bundesliga. Watching Bundesliga because the best 5 or 4 teams, they're just great teams, play great way of football, and you saw 2 teams just wanting to win, wanting to score, and the result was a remarkable game, a game for the books for sure.
Definitely. Alario has been hitting form this season, and he scored 2 very interesting goals. One very Alario goal and one very anti-Alario goal. The anti one surely has to be the curler from the edge of the box. But what's been told to Alario this season to make him step up?
I don't know. Maybe he just saw the chance when Schick was hurt 4 weeks ago. So he knew he would have all the spots from the national game break at the beginning of October till November. He had 1 month, and he knew this could be a chance to prove himself again, because he was the only striker in the club, and he did way more than just proving. I'm really looking forward to how Peter Bosz will react when Schick will come back after the national break.
It wasn't all plain sailing for Leverkusen, though, was it, Devo?
No, not at all. Not at all. I actually feel sorry for Mönchengladbach a little bit, because that's the worst game I think I've ever seen Sommer have. I like Sommer. I think he's one of the best goalkeepers in the league and has been for years. But he had a nightmare against Leverkusen. He made a few bad mistakes. The one for Alario especially. Even Bailey's goal, I think he should have done better with that. But Mönchengladbach could have scored more than the 3 goals they had. I think Ben Sabiani should have scored, when he hit the bar. I think sometimes you get these players that just want to hit the ball as hard as they possibly can. I don't think he had to do that. I just think he's in front of goal. It's him and the goalkeeper. All he has to do is place that in either corner, and it's a goal. But
same with Wolf. Before the third goal from Leverkusen, there was this massive chance for Gladbach where Radetzky first made a huge save from a Stindl attempt, and Wolf could I don't know how you call it, if the goalkeeper makes a save and the striker can score a goal.
Rebound.
Okay, rebound, like in the basketball. Okay. So he could take the rebound, and he didn't, because he just put too much energy in the shot. Just shot it onto the motorway behind the stadium. And the next thing that happens is a great goal from Leon Bailey.
Yeah, that was a great save by Radetzky as well. Great
save. I mean, I quite enjoyed that anyway, because like Bailey's had a lot of flack, not just from us on the show, but in the media as well. He's not kicked on, but he's had a great week. He scored a couple in the Europa League as well. But I love Diaby, and it was his run which brought it all along. Now, what would you say? Everyone's fully fit. What's your front four? Front three, because you sort of play like a 4-2-3-1, don't you? So, like, who would you put where? Would it be once everyone's fit once again? Would you play Alario through in the middle? Would you choose Bailey, Durenbai? Like, who would you go for?
Okay, so we usually play with 3 up front, so 4-3-3, and at the moment, in the current situation, needs to be Alario in the center, because he has to run at the moment. Before the season, I would have said Schick, but now if he scores like 7 goals in 4 matches, can't replace Alario for the next game. On the left wing, it would be Diaby, and on the right wing, it would be Bailey, because Bailey is more dangerous to the goal than Bellarabi, and Bellarabi is a great joker. If you bring in Bellarabi as a substitute, and your opponents are already tired, he's just playing with them. He messes them around because he's so fast. He has like all these, I don't know, crazy moves, like a rabbit a little bit. And it's if you're a tired defender, you don't want to play against Bellarabi. So Bellarabi is rather the better substitute for me than Bailey is, because Bailey does a lot of runs into the depth of the opponent's defense, and if his head is clear, he's definitely the more talented player.
Yeah.
What way would you go, Devo? Because I can't really argue with that.
No, I think I think that's pretty spot on. I think I'd probably say the same. I think it's a good blend with Diaby on the one side and Bailey on the other, because they're 2 very direct players, very tricky players, and I think they complement each other quite well. I think Diaby is the key out of all of those players that we've mentioned. I think when Diaby's on it, things happen for Leverkusen. He makes things happen. He's a very dangerous player, very smart player, and I think they will struggle to keep hold of him for the next year and a half, 2 years. But yeah, I think the whole thing with Alario as well, I don't see Schick scoring as many goals as what Alario is scoring right now. I don't think Schick has that kind of killer instinct in his locker. I like Schick. I think he's a decent player, but I don't think he's a natural goal scorer. I think he's better in the build-up,
isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's better in the build-up.
The ball up to him. Yeah. Play him in a deeper role, sort of thing. A bit like what Firmino does for Liverpool, almost. He doesn't have to score the goals, but he could be that link-up guy. Big guy, just point it up to him, let him lay it off, and then have Bailey and or Diaby, coming in off the wing and just putting it home, something like that. I think either work.
So I was saying to Flo just before we came on air, it's Leverkusen on some good form, man. They've scored like 12 goals in the last 3 games if you include the Europa League. They're scoring, because remember the beginning of the season they couldn't score goals. They couldn't get a win. They kept drawing games, and now they've clicked and they're just scoring goal after goal after goal. If they can just sort out the other end of the pitch where they're conceding goals, they're doing really well.
But the break comes definitely at the wrong time for Leverkusen now.
Oh God, yeah.
Like the Corona break did in spring, because in spring the team was really on fire. They had like, I don't know, 10 wins out of 11, something like that.
Mm.
If there wouldn't have been the Corona break, I'm sure Leverkusen would have made it to Champions League. But that's like we say in Germany, it's cold coffee. No one cares for that anymore.
I love it.
Another unbeaten side. Let's talk about Wolfsburg. Really happy that they were able to finally get a win. They draw too often. Not won many games this season, despite them being unbeaten. They beat Hoffenheim 2-1. The goals came. Excuse me. Goals came from Stefan in my fantasy. Thank you very much. Weghorst and. But this game, it's 2-1, but it had a madness ending, absolute madness ending. 6 goals in 5 games versus Hoffenheim for Weghorst now as well for that. But Wolfsburg, they keep. They're not losing games, which is fine, but they're not convincing, are they?
And I don't know why. Because they have the players. They've got some very tidy players. Stefan being one, Bracalo, Weghorst. If you give him a chance, generally he'll put it away. Arnold in the midfield. They've got Schlager. They got some really good players. And I think this is like a Leverkusen kind of thing for me, where Leverkusen struggled to click, and then once it did click, they started to put goals in. I think Wolfsburg are kind of on the same kind of path. Whereas when they do click, they're going to start putting goals past some teams. And I think not losing is a massive, they've gone through this little dodgy spell where they haven't been great, but they've not lost. So if they start turning those draws into wins, I think they're going to have a very good season.
Flo?
I think the problem lays rather deep inside the structure of Wolfsburg. Because Wolfsburg, similar to Leverkusen, is a club who belongs to a company. And most of the players in Wolfsburg, they lack that final piece of motivation. There's many ups and downs, more downs than ups, but higher ups than Leverkusen. But in Leverkusen, the players, they know, especially the young players, it's a place to develop and to make the next step. In Wolfsburg, the players, they go because they know, okay, I can make a good dollar over here. I'm gonna get paid very well. So that's one of the main reasons why many players are going to Wolfsburg, not because of the city. The city is horrible, like the whole.
It's a little industrial town, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like in the middle of nowhere.
Galore. It looks like Port Talbot.
It's quite okay for the people who work for the company to live there. You have some nice spots, okay, but you have nothing around. The best thing in Wolfsburg is that you have a direct train from Wolfsburg to Berlin in less than an hour. You have even some players you have had in history living in Berlin and playing in Wolfsburg, and they took the train in the morning to the training session and the train home again to live in Berlin and play in Wolfsburg and get all the cash.
Well, I'm sure that train goes into Ostbahnhof, if I'm right.
Yeah, it could be. I'm not familiar with that.
And that's not a very long walk away from Friedrichshain and Kreuzberg, and that's a great night out. So
yeah.
I would have done the same.
I've been to Berlin. I can attest to that.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. But like Wolfsburg, they might be in 6th place in the league, but they've only scored 7 goals. Yeah. They conceded 5. But it's the ending, which is crazy, because Adamian, he benefited from John Brooks, who I don't know where Brooksy thought he was. He just watched the ball go over his head. And he must have lost flight of the ball or something. But
I think he remembered that he left the cooker on at that
moment.
Do you know? Oh, left the cooker on. Oh crap!
Yeah. So I forgot where it was. That's exactly what it looked like. And the ball's bounced around in the box, and like Adamian's put it home. But then that's with what, 10 minutes ago? No, 3 minutes ago, 4 minutes ago, and then deep into injury time, it's a corner for Hoffenheim. Ollie Bauman's come up to try and get his head on it, and Max Arnold has punched the ball literally punch the
Volleyball.
ball as if he was a goalkeeper trying to clear his lines. And the ball's come up to take the pen. He hit it hard as well, but Castells, he saves it on like 94 minutes.
Great save.
And what's mad as well, Castells used to play for Hoffenheim as well.
That was a great save. Great
He
save.
wasn't
But then
good enough for Hoffenheim.
this is where, I know we speak about him quite a lot every time we mention Hoffenheim, but this is where Kramaric comes back, because Kramaric buries that. You know, more times than not, he buries that. De Boer is on good form. I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's on good form at the moment. But he's not Kramaric, is he?
No.
Yeah.
And Hoffenheim, you know, that... Oh, go on.
I don't want to take a penalty against Kuhn Castells because he's like, I don't know, 2 meters. What is it in foot? What do you say? Or in feet? I don't know.
It's about 6 foot. It's about 6'7", that.
Yeah, 6'6".
6'6", yeah.
He's massive, and if you're standing in the 95th minute on the spot and looking at this giant in the goal, reach nearly every corner. If you don't
he had really good awareness to because De Boer's hit that quite hard, and Castells knew exactly which way he was going and just went for it. So, you know, I thought it was a brilliant save. But Hoffenheim, excuse me, they're falling down the table a lot. They are desperate for Kramaric to come back. You can't just rely on one player. But when that player is so key to the way you play, they need him back very, very quickly. Just 2 more games to go by, actually. So let's have a look and see what we got. Right, okay, it's Stuttgart. Stuttgart 2, Frankfurt 2. Stuttgart, I feel for these boys.
I don't. Only reason being because I had Kaladzic. I've put him in my dream team, and ever since I've done that, he played 45 minutes of football. So screw him.
But I would like to point out our knowledge, because last week we said, okay, this could be quite an interesting game. Stuttgart, Frankfurt, both teams going for it. And you had, on the one hand, you had a very young team with Stuttgart. I don't know, the average age was 23 on that match day. And on the other hand, you had Frankfurt with an average of 29. And it was a little bit like in my grassroots club, if we play young against old. So the young always start, they're on fire, they're running, they're scoring the goals. The old are thinking like, okay, come on, let them do it. Wait a little bit, and we are mature enough to score our goals afterwards. And that's kind of what happened. That's like kind of the match in a nutshell.
Yeah, definitely. Gonzalo scored a penalty and then became provider. It's actually his first start for Stuttgart this season. Goal scorer, then provider for Castro. Lovely player is Gonzalez. Great vision, great touches, great movement. You know, it's going to be, he's a joy to watch. But it could have been 3-0. And it wasn't too long before Frankfurt pulled one back, and that was the Klimovic header hit the bar.
Oh yeah,
on the free kick. So if that goes in, that is game, as far as I'm concerned. Frankfurt, the thing is, they played really well in the first half, especially between the first and the second goal. They were more on top of the game, controlling it a bit more, but. You know, if you don't finish your chances and stuff, then you could get punished, and that's exactly what's happened to Stuttgart here.
Yeah, as you said, they are a young side. They're a young side, so they will learn from games like this. Is, you know, you're 2-0 up, you have to put the game to bed. Whatever that be, you make sure you get the third, or you defend on the 2-0, and you say, right, this is us. We're not going to allow you to get into this game. We're just going to kill it off by keeping the ball, recycling the ball, kind of frustrating you. They did neither of those things, and they allowed Frankfurt back into the game with really 2 goals which they didn't defend well enough. You know, the first goal, they allowed Barkok to run half the length of the pitch without just allowing him to run, basically. He did one little shift of the ball, cut it back, and Andre Silva puts it into the bottom corner. But he shouldn't have been allowed to get to that point where he could cut it back. You got to stop that ball from going in. And then the second's just Abraham's free for a header.
Yeah,
You know.
Barkok. He came through. He came through the ranks at Frankfurt. He was on loan at Dusseldorf a couple seasons back, but he's now got his opportunity to try and shine. He's only 22 as well, so you know, games like this can put you in the public eye. Do you think Barkok has what it takes to make a step up from Frankfurt?
He definitely has what it takes to be a constant player or a player in the starting 11 of Frankfurt. He made his debut 4 or 5 years ago, was seen as a talent, but wasn't able, also, of course, also because of injuries, to make the next step. And yeah, that's what matters now. He has to make the next step and to give such performances more often. Because I believe he has all the abilities to become a first starting 11 player in Frankfurt, at least. Not maybe for the top 4 or 5 in Germany, but it's decent to play for Frankfurt.
No, Frankfurt. Yeah, you shouldn't really sniff at Frankfurt. I don't think anyone really should. You know, they are a good side, and they do get players together and make something out of them. You know, look at some of the talent that's gone in and out of there. You know, look at like Jovic. Look at Haller. You know, Haller hasn't. I don't think he's been given a fair rub of the green, if I'm honest, at West Ham. I think
anyone playing under David Moyes is in the wrong club.
Yeah. I can't really say much more about that, really. But yeah, they've had some really good players that have come through there. So, you know, they know what they're doing. They know when they see talent. So it'd be interesting just to see how they get along. But for everyone at home, we had a section last week. We thought, you know what, screw it, we're going to do it. And it is his time again. It's time for this.
Wolfrum's words of wisdom.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Really tough about it.
Oh, Flo, what we got this week?
Okay. Yeah, in the beginning of the stream, I said that I'm a little bit sad today. Well, now I will come to the reason why I'm sad, because today is a very, very, very special day in Germany, especially in the area around Cologne and Leverkusen. You know, Leverkusen and Cologne are very close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And because Cologne is the last missing match that misses, last missing match that misses, so the last missing match, I would like to talk about FC Cologne. I provided you with some pictures before the show. You just put them on the screen. I'm just gonna say a little to it. So this is the Cologne squad, and we have another one from the Cologne squad, I believe. Yeah, that's it. You know, they haven't give up yet, so they're still trying to compete for the Bundesliga, at least for staying in the league. But yeah, today is the start of Carnival in Germany. Today would be the start of Carnival. You know, in Germany you have the 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And in Cologne you have the 5th season, and that's Carnival.
Oh, okay.
It became a tradition that every year on the 11th of November, so 11th at 11 o'clock and 11 minutes, 11 o'clock and 11 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm coming to German.
That's
right
right. I know what elf is.
Yeah.
That you start celebrating the opening of the Carnival season, and that's what Cologne does. That's maybe one of the tiny little bits I like about this club. Mostly every year on this day, they have a training station in costumes, and they celebrate it, because Carnival is not just a celebration in Cologne; it's a way of living. It's like the whole culture in the Rhine area around us. So, and Cologne are really living it. So the FC Cologne, they have there's a huge parade, and on that parade with a wagon, and they have their place in the city. Like, everyone from Cologne is mad about FC Cologne, and on this day they don't care about training. They just celebrate being from Cologne, have a lot of fun. Every year they have a Carnival jersey, which is incredibly ugly, but they sell hundreds of it. It's limited, and the people pay highly overpriced amounts of money for it. And yeah, this is one of the most special days for Cologne, but also for our region, because usually if there wouldn't have been Corona, I would not be able to talk to you right now because we start drinking early in the morning at 8 o'clock. We mostly we go to Cologne. All the streets, all the big squares, every place is crowded with people wearing costumes, drinking. Everyone's loving each other. Some people are fighting each other because they had too many drinks, but yeah, we don't care about that. And you celebrate until till the end of the night. So I would have been very, very drunken today if there wouldn't have been Corona. And FC Cologne would have done a training session in costumes this year. But of course they didn't because they're on the bottom of the league and
yeah, it wouldn't go down very well, would it? But I never knew about Carnival season. Now I've only ever been to Cologne once, and I didn't really get a chance to have a look around. I was on the way to Berlin, and I was just having a little layover. I must have been in Cologne for about 20 minutes. So it is a city that I do want to travel to. Excuse me. So, provided how things are, whether it be next year or the year after, I mean, I'll be coming to Germany before then. Obviously, Corona getting in the way in that, but I think we might have to look at getting out there and probably doing a show out there as well. Why not? But let's talk about Cologne very briefly because it wasn't the greatest game of football. Let's be honest. Werder Bremen won. Cologne won. You know, Bremen unbeaten in 6 now. Cologne without a win in the Bundesliga for 16 games, I think it is. So let's.
Chloe's very happy about that.
One thing I did like about this, one thing I didn't like and did like. One thing I didn't like is Timo Horn getting injured because I don't really like players getting injured. It's not fair on them. But the guy who came on in his place is Ron Robert Zieler. Now Ron Robert Zieler turned out at Northampton Town, my hometown, a number of years back. He was on loan from Man United because he came from he was a youth player at Man United. So
really?
So it's a nice little Northampton connection to Cologne there. Other than that,
shall I talk a little more about Ron Robert Zieler because for him it was a special match?
Yeah, go for it.
He is usually from Cologne. You know, he made his first steps in Cologne, played for the under 16 or 17 team, changed to Man United, and then made a career, or made a quite a good career. I don't know if you remember, but he was part of the World Cup winner squad in 2004.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
I remember that. We made a big thing of that. Yeah, he's at Leicester as well. We made a big thing of that when he was in the World Cup squad because it's like World Cup winner, Northampton Town.
From Northampton, yeah. But actually, the city of Cologne forgot about him. You know, they honored Lukas Podolski, of course, after the World Cup final. And there was a second player, I don't have his name right now, but there were 3 players from Cologne, and they just forgot about Ron Robert Zieler. And then a couple of weeks later, they just realized, oh, yeah, he's also from Cologne.
Sorry, mate. Well done.
This leads me to a question: do you guys think Timo Horn or Ron Robert Zieler would be the better goalkeeper for the team?
I think Timo Horn was, he was a good goalkeeper at one point, but he's made quite a few errors in recent times. I think Zieler might. I think this might be a period now where Zieler gets some games, and he doesn't give up the jersey. I think when Timo Horn comes back, we'll see how serious the injury is. It didn't look too serious. I mean, it looked like an innocuous challenge, just one of those ones where you get a knee in the back and he just stiffens up a bit. With the international break, who knows? Zieler might not even get a game. Timo Horn might be all right. Fixture rolls around, but I would if you. I mean, you're at the bottom of the league. Timo Horn's made a few mistakes this season. It would make sense to give Zieler some games and see if you can make that number 1 jersey your own. Why not?
I don't feel comfortable with Timo Horn at the back. He gets beaten his near post way too often as well. And if you're a goalkeeper, that is one place. Because, if someone's like bulleted something at you from 2 yards out, you've got no choice if it goes at your near post. But some of them like squirming underneath him, he's getting he's getting in the wrong place. He's getting his legs tangled up. He doesn't know how to command his box properly. But the issue with Rob Zieler is the fact that he is a number 2. And he's a good number 2. He's a good person to have on your bench, but is he good enough to man the ship? They should probably just have a look elsewhere. Probably see how Robert Zieler gets on for a little bit. Maybe have a look at one of the kids. I don't see any issue with that, but Timo Horn is dead in these streets. That's what I say. There's the own goal. Moisander scored the own goal. That's 62 own goals. That Bremen has scored. Yeah, he's got 55. Werder Bremen have conceded 62 own goals. It's more than anyone else in Bundesliga history. And it's also the first time that Cologne have taken the lead in a game this season. But my boy,
that's an issue.
My boy, Bittencourt with the pen. That's his first ever penalty,
Yeah, he's in my dream team now. I thought, you know what?
Get on the bus, mate. Get on the bus.
I jumped on the bus.
Thank you very much.
I want to get on that bus, please.
What were your thoughts on the free before we wrap up? What were your thoughts on the penalty being given though? Bornau's handball.
Trying to remember it now. Trying to picture.
It's sort of like. It's sort of like the cross has come in and he's lent with it.
Like here.
It's got It's gone to kick it. I ain't got much space here. It's gone to kick it. This guy. I think it hit his leg first. Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much. Oh, you're matching. Top and bottom.
Oh, you wearing pajamas?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my club and that's my fan club. I don't know if you say it like this. You have. If the supporters are organized, we call it a fan club in Germany.
Supporters
club. Yeah.
Yeah, a supporters club, and we are the Lev addicts. So we are addicted to Leverkusen, unfortunately, because we have a lot of pain.
There you go. On that note, let's get the table up. Right then. So the table looks like this. There's the fixtures as well. Make sure I got my fixtures for the next slide. Next slide. Sound like I'm about to give the the Corona meeting, don't I? Next slide. Right. So Bayern Munich, they are top of the league. Imagine that. Never heard of that one before in the Bundesliga. They have 18 points. From a possible 21. They've only lost one game this season. That was, of course, against Hoffenheim earlier on the week, game week 3 off the top of my head. Leipzig, as we said as well, they've bumped into second place ahead of Dortmund. And they are looking pretty shiny themselves. Leipzig, they've only conceded 4 goals in the league this season, as to Dortmund. Dortmund only conceded 2 before this game week, and now that they are in third place. Leverkusen completing that top 4. Union Berlin knocking around at the top there, making things very interesting. How long can they stay there? We've already said that they're going to be pacemakers. An unbeaten Wolfsburg, who barely win a game, but they are knocking around there as well. At the bottom of the league, Mainz. They picked up their first points of the season with that 2-2 draw at home to Schalke, who occupies 17th spot. Cologne, they're without a win as well this season, without a win in 16 games. They're on 3 points. And Arminia Bielefeld, after such a lovely start, they are already in a little bit of trouble. But
I didn't realise they're not scoring any goals, are they, Bielefeld?
No, that's the issue. When they lose,
that is a massive issue.
That's bad. That's bad stuff. And they conceded 15 at the other end as well. Yeah. So when you look at it like that, it's not good. But they've got to do something about it. They really have. They've conceded the least goals in the league this season. Scored the least goals in the league this season. There will be time for them to turn it round. Not necessarily the next game week. Of course, it's international break. So, are we going to do a show next week? We might do. We might not. We might actually spend some time with the kids.
Yeah, I think
we'll see what happens. Give the viewers a week off. But yeah, Bielefeld, they've got Leverkusen. So it's not looking good for them. That's when we come back after the international break. That's game week 8, game week 8, I should say. So the Saturday, the 21st of November, looks like this. The afternoon kickoffs are Bayern versus Bremen, Mönchengladbach versus Augsburg, Hoffenheim versus Stuttgart, Schalke versus Wolfsburg, Bielefeld versus Leverkusen, as we alluded to a moment ago. The Saturday evening game is Frankfurt versus Leipzig, and the Saturday night game is Hertha Berlin versus Dortmund. On to Sunday's games. There are 2. The afternoon kickoff is Freiburg versus Mainz, and the evening game is Cologne versus Union Berlin. Before these games, I would have said Cologne versus Union Berlin. I think I'll fancy Cologne to grab a win out of that game, maybe a cheeky 1-0 or something like that. But after looking at the performances of both clubs, I could see Union Berlin doing really well out of that one and then having dreams of Europe.
I would love to see Union Berlin in Europe, especially if the fans
when the fans come back.
Yeah, that would be quite nice. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Flo, this Leverkusen remind me of Arsenal to a degree, where they lose really silly games that they expect to win. This Arminia Bielefeld game, do you feel that the players will go into this a bit complacent as they have done in the past?
Now you're talking about that, I'm a little afraid about it, maybe. But I believe that in between, or that nowadays the quality from Bayer Leverkusen is just too high for Arminia Bielefeld. So I believe that the individual quality, that even if they are not fully concentrated, they will take a win out of there. Because with all the money in football, the difference became just too big. I don't know. Arminia Bielefeld, they pay the same amount for their pro players like we play for our under 19 players. I'm just exaggerating a little bit, but that's what it is at the moment or today. So I don't believe this should be a loss for Leverkusen. But you're right; those were exactly the games we lost in the past years, which cost us trophies. So that's what's the difference to Arsenal is. We don't have very much silverware in Leverkusen. You have at least a quite decent collection.
We try collect some. But before we go, subscribe to our YouTube channels at Top Football, at TFB Dugout. If you put those into Google, they come up. So do that. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, and subscribe, and comment on the stuff as well. Next show for 2 Up Top, we have our 5 midfield tomorrow, which is going to be Thursday, the 12th of November. We've also got a watch along for Serbia versus Scotland, and then Devo, your next show is the Q&A's, I believe. Is that tomorrow as well? Yeah. So make sure you get involved with the Q&A.
Pretty wild. It can get wild. We had a fake porn star in our comments on Monday night.
Nice.
Yeah, which is quite funny, unless you're Javern.
Did he get a little bit shy? Bless him.
Well, this porn star. Well, she had the name of a porn star. We don't know if it was actually her. It probably wasn't. Came on saying, "Javern, I'm trying to message you. Can you message me back?" In the comments, just randomly.
Go on, little Jay.
Yeah. So we found that hilariously funny.
Brilliant stuff. But if you have any questions, make sure you tweet them, and if they are a decent question, they'll give it a mention, and they'll discuss your question, which I love the Q&A show, to be honest. It's one of my favorite shows that the Football Dugout boys do. And they'll be on over the weekend as well, I believe. But from myself, I'm Gav Mack, from Devo, and from Flozif down there. Thank you, and good night.